Kyle Joseph has just signed for Cheltenham as well from Swansea.
Right. Let's get this show on the road, everybody. Let's hope.
Let me check if that's come through. Yes. Go for it.
Right, hello everyone. Welcome to the D3D4 football podcast, live here for transfer deadline day. We're getting loads of deals coming through just as we're starting the podcast, so forgive us as we sort of catch up through various different means. My name's James Richards. I'll be hosting tonight, but it's a team effort. We've got everyone here to hopefully bring you our opinions on what's been going on. Let me introduce everybody as we start this. So we've got obviously the veritable bastion of knowledge that is Ed Walker, wearing his Burton Albion shirt. How you doing, Ed?
I'm on a high at the minute, to be honest. The Sam Hughes signing has got me in a very, very good mood. I'm very good.
Excellent. We've got the articulate Jules fan, Mr. Dave Jenkin, without the S. I have to make sure that people know that. Delighted that they've actually just signed a player, which didn't look very likely a moment ago.
It didn't, did it? I think we were just talking about before we started that we didn't think there was going to be a single signing happening today for Gills. I was very worried, as I'm sure many Gills fans out there were very worried too. But one is better than nothing, so I'm quietly confident that there's still time left to get something done.
And it's Charlie Kelman as well, who scored that very famous goal when he was, 17 from the halfway line?
Something like that.
Pretty impressive. And we've got Chris Stringer, whose jokes are so bad he was fired from the Christmas Cracker Factory where he was.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Hoping that we get a couple of deals through, and in itself it feels like a deal done. That man that's behind you, James, appears to be staying put, touch wood, The
Bahambula wall. I haven't got quite enough space to fit up all my pictures that I wanted to put up, but there we go. Yeah, I'm hopeful it will stay. We have today, of course, the done deal bell, so you'll be hearing this hopefully as deals go through before the end of the window. Forgive us for any issues with technology. This is our first time using this, but I must say as well, before we get into all the football transfer talk, that we are as well partnering with the Big Step, whose logo you can see in the top right of the screen. If you're listening to this later on the audio, welcome. Hope you've had a good transfer deadline day. Looking forward to sort of giving our opinions on everything that's been going on. I do have here a board, which is now unfortunately terribly out of date, but it's all the transfers that we're going through earlier in the day. But it's a prompt for me more than anything else. And you can get involved on Twitter as well by basically giving us your comments. Send us your comments of what you want to see, and absolutely we'll be delighted to just give you our opinions, give you our thoughts on what's going on. Looking forward to this. So where should we start, Ed? Is there anything that's caught your eye in particular to that? I mean, there were several clubs that really needed to make some moves, weren't there? And one of them was Tranmere. They've signed a few players. Just having a look at the board. I mean,
well, I think the main one to mention to them is probably Nicky Maynard, isn't it? We've been talking all the time about how they might need that goal scorer. We're not quite sure what their emerging goal scorer is, and I think the emphasis with Nicky Maynard is that it could be. The emphasis is on could, really. We know his record at this level is fantastic. He's not exactly young anymore, but maybe that's the person they're looking for, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so. I think Nicky Maynard gives them an option, certainly that they desperately needed. He's 30? How old is he now? 35?
34.
Yeah,
he's 34.
I think Stephen Walker is the one I'm excited about that they've brought in, because if you saw him at Crewe, he did look quite a good player, and I think you're talking exciting options. That does seem to be a game changer, because they haven't scored a goal. Was it in the last 4 games? Is it 4 games without a goal for Tranmere?
4 games in a row.
Yeah.
What I will say about Tranmere as well, the one that I really like is Mark Duthie. I think you've got an absolutely potentially unreal player there. Incredible Mark Duthie. Yeah.
Was he Fleetwood last year?
He was at Fleetwood. He
got released, didn't he?
Really surprised about the way he's dropped down. A bit like Callum McManaman in a way.
It's only a short-term deal. It's only 6 months.
But he's someone
6 months.
Who could be
end of the calendar year, so not even that.
Okay, well, we'll see how he gets on. One of these players, perhaps, that they're not sure maybe about his fitness or how it fit into their system, but
I'm just looking at his a little bit on the website. He said he's been training for a few weeks, so I'm wondering why it's taken so long and then why it's such a short-term deal, even after they've watched him for a while. That always makes me a little bit nervy.
Maybe we had some rumours that your club captain Chris was off to Mansfield earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I think I said we can let him go, and of course he scored tonight against his former club.
Yeah, in the if you're catching up with everything tonight, there are pizza trophy matches.
The Stuffed Crust Trophy,
the
Stuffed Crust Shield
competition in the world.
Yeah, it's really not a popular competition, is it? There's been quite a lot of vitriol towards it on Twitter tonight, which is frankly fair, I think. Sunderland have picked up an interesting player. I won't pretend to know a huge amount about him, but he signed from Berlin. Yeah.
Well, he's a former Bayern Munich player, isn't he? So he was at Bayern, and then he went to Union Berlin on a season-long loan with an option to buy. They bought him at the end of last season, and now he's come to England to join Sunderland.
Their new number 7.
Yeah, interesting journey over the last couple of years, going from Bayern to Union to Sunderland. So
I like this one. I think this is an interesting one, isn't it? When you start looking at sort of into the European market, but players that are pretty high pedigree. We're not talking about guys that are maybe in the French 4th tier. I won't say
no idea who you're talking about there, James.
But yeah.
What about is Argentina that Oxford did as well, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't want
the Raponi years, was that?
Raponi years. Oxford fans, if you are tuning into this, you'll remember well watching. I can't even remember the name of all of them, but Raponi was the manager's son-in-law, I think, who we picked up. There were strange times at Oxford.
You should have seen some Hasselbank picked up in his first spell. They were from interesting places. Some of them worked, some of them really didn't. So it's always quite fun seeing those gambles.
Fair to say Oxford didn't. I mean, I remember our last game of that season, we were playing away at Rochdale. I think we got spanked 5-0. And that was the end of his spell in charge. And then the next season, I think, was our last in the Football League for about half a decade. So, yeah, less said about that, the better. Dave, you're on Breaking Deal watch, aren't you, at the moment?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing at the minute.
Excellent. I've got my phone here. I'll keep an eye on what's happening on the Twitter feed just in case there's any breaking deals.
Well, we've had another Ipswich signing.
Yeah, that's what, the 300th of the window?
I think it's for
38, is it now? 34 to 38 that they've made just in this window. It's quite extraordinary.
They did sign a French lad earlier in the day, didn't they? Well, I don't know if he's French himself, but someone from Dijon.
They did, yeah. He was the first transfer of the day, wasn't he? Bertrand Selena.
Yeah, I hear he's the mustard.
Yeah.
That is an excellent one, by the way, because anyone who remembers him from last time.
The Christmas Cracker Factory, you sent me your P45 for stuff like that.
Oh, for goodness sake. No, but Selena is a very good one. He was a previous Ipswich in the Championship, and he was brilliant. They're really excited about him, and I understand why, for sure.
It wouldn't be deadline day without a French lad, albeit for the wrong club, but...
No, indeed. The one I actually like is that Sutton managed to get Isaac Olafoe back from Millwall. 14 goals last season he scored for them in the National League, their top scorer in their promotion season. And seeing him return, I mean, he was linked with a lot of clubs, but I think going back to where he found success makes a lot of sense. Pretty much the same team as they had now complete in their promotion season, I think, Ed, isn't it? And now they're
enough, I would say so. Yeah, Donovan Wilson was one, of course, was the lone player. And he's in permanently now. On the topic of that, I think Jack Diamond going back to Harrogate. I really like that one. He was a big part. I like that a lot. He was a big part of their promotion out of the National League a couple of seasons ago as well. So lovely to see him back at Harrogate as well.
Oh, we're just having a look at the comments. So we've got some comments coming through from people. Thoughts on Anthony Evans to Bristol Rovers? Ed, what's your thoughts on Evans to Bristol Rovers?
Was he the one that you claimed Ant Evan was when he went to Crewe? I'm not too familiar with him, to be honest.
He's a friend of the podcast, isn't
he? Yeah.
Is he the friend of the podcast? I'm not too familiar with him.
Patron of the pod, Ant Evans, has joined Bristol Rovers. To be fair, we didn't see much of him, did we? He was playing. No. He wasn't playing in this country, was he, before he went to Crewe? If I remember rightly.
Has he been over to Germany? Is it Germany?
I think he was.
I think it was Germany, yeah, but he didn't really feature very much.
Not recruiting, no.
But I don't know. I mean, what do we think? Junior Brown coming in, Leon Clark. I have to say, Bristol Rovers fans, they do not fill me with confidence at all. Junior Brown.
I'm thinking of the right Leon Clark that he's getting on a bit now, and
at Shrewsbury last season and did
used to have a
nothing.
fight with Paolo Di Canio years ago.
Yeah, and every club signs him when they're getting really concerned and desperate that they haven't got a good enough striker, and they pay him twice as much as you pay for an equivalent striker
who actually runs around and scores goals.
And
Anthony Evans was at Paderborn in Germany.
Paderborn, that's right. Yeah. Well remembered, Chris. Yeah. No, it's it doesn't feel. I'm sorry, I said those signings for Bristol Rovers don't particularly fill me with confidence. Junior Brown, obviously ex-Oxford, and at Oxford he was a good player, but you're talking about a player now that is the
part
wrong
of a pretty
side.
bad Scunthorpe team.
Yeah, wrong side of 30.
That Scunthorpe team wasn't great.
Lots of injuries. I mean, he is experienced. I suppose if you're looking at what Bristol Rovers need to bring in, they were talking about experienced players, but I do not really see, and maybe they'll make us eat our words. We'll see. But I don't really
had someone to play in that left wing back role at the minute. I think they've been using Alex Rodman's been the right. Who's someone they've had on the left recently? Can't remember off the top of my head, but it's been probably more of a natural winger who's been playing in that kind of left.
They've had Harry Anderson playing on the left.
That might be it, yeah. And
Harry Anderson's been playing the left wing back role, and to be honest, that did not fill me with massive confidence. I do like Carl Taylor. So Benji Sheps says Carl Taylor to Exeter could be one of the most underrated signings of the window. I agree. I think he's a great signing. Played really well in a very poor Southend United team last season. The fact that it's on a permanent deal, there's a lot to like about that, because I think the contract is until 2024. So you've got a very good player. Well. He's technical, isn't he, Carl Taylor? He's a technical player, someone with a bit of vision, quite a lot of energy in midfield. I actually thought he added a lot to Southend when he played from last season, but it's difficult to say. He was on loan, I think, as well at Forest Green not long ago. Before that.
Yes, I remember that.
So that certainly was an interesting one.
Yeah, Ipswich have confirmed that that's their last deal.
Sam Morsey.
Good, because they probably haven't got enough room in the changing room to add any more, have they?
I do want to talk about those guys. Do you think they've done too many?
Ipswich.
I mean, this has been their problem already all season, is that they've completely changed the squad, and it's why they're having such a slow.
How many signings is too many?
Well, they needed a new squad, but this is why they're having such a slow start. Is that when there's that many new faces alongside a new ethos at the club, anyway, it's going to be a struggle. But they did need to recruit heavily, I think, after last season.
I agree. I think there's a lot of signings, and Paul Cook knows what he wants, but he's.
I mean, individually, they're a great group of players. Amazing signings in there. And then some you've forgotten about. Like I'd completely forgotten that Sonny Aluko had gone there.
Sonny Aluko, Reading's most overpaid player in the last how long? I mean, he was on a huge whack at Reading, and frankly, I think it cost them $7 million, didn't he, from Fulham when he signed for Reading, and he was. I think it's right. It was from Fulham, but he was really terrible for the money, right? Frankly, and but hey, I think League One, maybe he's still got something he can achieve. I mean, the squad, like Chris was saying, the squad that they've got at Ipswich there's nothing wrong with it at all. I think when you got George Edmondson coming back into that back line,
how much have they spent though? Because I'm just thinking they've brought in it's 19, right? Yeah. And they spent £1 million on £1 million on Edmondson. Is that? I think that's right. And presumably they've paid fees for other players, agent fees. They've upped the wage bill. I mean, that's a lot of spending. There's
a few loans in there as well.
It's a lot of spending either way, though.
It is.
Just to clarify, guys, the signing made from Ipswich just a moment ago was Sammy Morsey, from formerly of Middlesbrough.
Well, he played with Paul Cook at in that famous Wigan team, didn't he? Sam Morsey. He was part of the Wigan team in 17-18 that got promoted as champions, I think, from League One. Pretty good signing, if you ask me. Sam Morsey's very reliable. Sunderland apparently getting a German goalie from Bayern.
Is there a German link with Sunderland? Because I seem to remember they've recruited from Germany previous seasons.
Their owner's from Switzerland, isn't he?
What they did.
Right, okay.
The one I remember from Germany a few years back. Do you remember Jan Kirchhoff in the Premier League?
Yeah.
That wasn't that good.
No,
I hope it's better.
those years in the Premier League.
That's
Premier League
it's
years,
still
that was-
haunting them with spending. That's still haunting them.
Kind of crazy. to think that was
It's
5 years ago.
unbelievable.
5 years
I
ago,
will say
that
to
was.
any of our listeners on the audio, I have unfortunately the loudest laptop fan on the planet. It's so loud that my wife has banned me playing Football Manager anywhere in her vicinity. Because it sounds like it's about to take off. So I do apologise. I will try and edit that out in the audio version of this podcast to make it easier for people to listen to. But at some point, I'm going to have to plug my laptop in to keep it from dying completely, and that's when it will really get loud. We've got someone mentioning about Dobra going to League Two Colchester. I think that's a good signing.
Loan deal, wasn't it?
It's basically everyone from Ipswich who's not in the first team because they've signed 19 players is now at Colchester.
It's not Colchester.
I mean, it's not far. The one away day I've done to Colchester, we stayed at the cheap hotel next to Ipswich's stadium. I
don't think that's the reason he's gone, just because it's close.
I think you might be right.
I think there's a good link there, though. You had the John McGreal links for years. And Steve Ball's been doing recruitment at Colchester now, and he's obviously very close with some of the guys at Ipswich. I think Ipswich see value in having a team like Colchester who play a certain brand of football just down the road from them where they can send players. Let's be honest, if you're a footballer in that part of the world, there's not many options if you want to stay close to the Suffolk, Essex area than going from Ipswich to Colchester, because you've got Luke Chambers and Cole Skuse and people like that. They're not going to want to go and uplift everyone if they can stay local. So it's a good move, and it works out well for Colchester because they get players in with good quality who can add to their squad. And although I'm yet to be completely convinced, I think the one thing they lacked in the game I watched recently against Rochdale was a little bit of creativity and panache. If Delborough can add that, then perfect. That's
They do have Alan Judge on their books, who will be part of that squad.
Yeah, has he been injured or is he just not?
I think he's out injured at the minute, but you look at him and think there could be a very good creative player in there at this level.
Swindon Live has said Swindon this summer. Well, they've added a player today. I haven't written it down on my board here, but it was the chap on loan from Brentford.
Alex Gilbert.
Alex Gilbert. I mean, to be honest...
David is on form here.
I'll be honest, I thought that was Alex Gilby for a moment. I almost screamed.
You thought it was the guy from
what? I thought it was almost Alex Gilby. Yeah.
Alex Gilby, yeah.
Yeah, he's a 19-year-old that they signed from Brentford on a season-long loan. So he made 2 appearances in the first team, featuring the FA Cup ties last year, but mainly came through the youth ranks at West Brom and then joined Brentford's B team last September.
I like players from Brentford's B team because Brentford recruit well and they stick good players in their B team, and then teams in the EFL can just take themselves, take a few of them out, and we've seen it with quite a lot of sides. So, but I think overall, if we're talking about Swindon's window and summer overall, you consider where they were when we did our predictions pod. They had only just, I think, appointed a chief executive and the director of football. Manager had not been there long. The squad was about 6 players strong. Now they have some of the most individually brilliant players in League Two. They're playing you'd argue, the best brand of football at the moment. Maybe Forest Green would have some questions about that, but they're right up there in terms of a team with passing ability, vertical passes up the pitch and creating chances. And, they've got players who are carrying the ball, exciting, creative players, a bit like Harry McCurdy, Jackie Payne. They've done brilliantly. I mean, and they've got good young players who are not just, you get a lot of loan players, don't you, from Premier League academies and stuff that come in to make up the numbers. Actually, people like Critchlow and Kessler Hayden.
Simpson up top has looked good as well.
Yeah, what are they? I mean, this is
the league above.
Well, I mean, you could argue Ipswich could have done with someone like that in their attacks because they've obviously struggled.
Someone of that size definitely looks enormous.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think it's excellent. Carl Joseph to Cheltenham finally confirmed. Apparently, is that a done deal, David?
I've seen that confirmed. Yeah.
Sorry, which one's that?
Cheltenham Town. Carl Joseph. Is that the chap from? I assume that's the chap from Wigan.
Yes.
Has that gone through? Been confirmed?
Not that I can see here, but if it's confirmed somewhere else.
I've seen John Palmer confirm it. Who's the
John
main guy
Palmer.
for Cheltenham, so he's calling
Palmer.
it and it's happened.
He's the
I've just seen that Amrit Bansal McNulty has just signed on loan from QPR to Crawley Town.
Oh, that's a done deal.
That's a done deal.
The done deal bell goes off.
I've seen a nice little bit of Lincoln are apparently in talks. So it's not a signing yet. For Morgan Whittaker on loan from Swansea City. That's according to Peter O'Rourke.
Well, that's an Appleton signing if I've ever heard one.
That would be a good signing.
Jamie Robson that they've signed from Dundee United, the fullback. That is a brilliant signing.
Yeah, he looks very good.
Now, talking about fullbacks, I wanted to mention with Lincoln. Do you think Ty Eden could affect them?
Well, if they
passed off to Blackburn, hasn't he?
I think they probably had that on the burner, saying that we'll let him go, but only once Robson's over the line. And I think Robson's a pretty adequate replacement, if I'm honest, based on what I've seen of him.
Still feel like it's a bit of a loss, though.
Eden has great versatility.
Theo Eden is a loss.
A number of positions.
Yeah. Theo Eden will no doubt be a loss because he's always good. Ian Bradley, big hello to you, mate. You're on our comments and watching on the stream. Welcome. Making comments of why he wonders why he hopes Ipswich will fail this season.
Can we talk about the decision for Harry Harter to go back to Charlton, and also the kind of strangest transfer, in my opinion, of this window so far is probably Saido Berahino.
Yeah.
So Saido Berahino, right, is a player that we all remember from his West Brom days. Was the next big thing, wasn't he? He was amazing. He burst onto the scene. He scored loads of goals, and everyone was expecting him to make this big money move to Spurs. It didn't go through. The club didn't agree terms, and then he threw his toys out the pram. He had this right paddy. I think on social media he said some things that he probably ended up regretting, and then he started refusing to play for the Baggies. There was all this stuff off the pitch with his attitude, and he basically slipped away into obscurity. He couldn't replicate his form. If I'm right, he put on a bit of weight as well, and he ended up moving to Stoke City to try and kickstart his career, and that worked out about as well as Chris's job at the Cracker Factory. It wasn't. It wasn't successful.
It's not the place to really kickstart your career, is it, Stoke?
It did kind of work for Shaqiri, didn't it? Let's be honest. Shaqiri came there and was fantastic, and then obviously got his move. Was it from Stoke to Liverpool? He made that move.
Yeah,
he did.
But Berahino didn't, and he was publicly outed by some of his teammates. I remember, was it Glenn Johnson said that he was lazy in training and he didn't try that hard. And
it was all very believable after the whole everything he'd done publicly.
Well, it was. Exactly, it was. And look, I'm not saying I know the guy personally, okay? I don't know what he's like. A chap who was, I assume, an agent was saying to me that why am I questioning in that transfer when I put it out on Twitter? And I simply said, well, his attitude has clearly held him back in the past, and that's something that you've got to look at because he's been playing in Belgium. This is a guy who was touted for the next big thing. He's been playing in Belgium. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday paid a fee from him and brought him in. Now, yeah, okay, if he's matured and he's a player that we sort of remember at his best, then it's a great signing, and he should do well in League One. But if he was, you have to say if his attitude was top notch, right? He wouldn't be in League One. Simple as that.
If anyone's gonna sort that out, though, Darren Moore.
I agree. I think Darren Moore would be a very good manager for him.
Yeah,
but it was a bit of a shock, wasn't it? When I saw Saido Berahino, for a minute I was like, Saido Berahino, where have I heard that name before? That's how sort of out of the public eye he's been.
It's sort of unlocking a memory almost.
Yeah.
He's been abroad since he left West Brom, though. He's been abroad the whole time, hasn't he? So it's not really a name that we've heard in a long time. So
he hasn't been heard of for a while. But yeah, I absolutely think that that signing could end up being. It will either be brilliant or it just won't work. But
terrible.
That's the way I feel. I'm really excited about it, but I'm also really unsure about it. I just don't know what we're getting it.
It's down to him, isn't it? It's down to Saido Berahino whether this move works out, and it's all about his application. But like I said, I don't know him personally. He's probably matured. You hope he's matured, and you hope he's going to be this player that we all knew he promised to be and could be. Ipswich Town Analytics said Edmondson, Chaplin, and Fraser are all around the 750k mark each. Morsey probably around the same. So you're talking £1.3 million for those four players.
Damn!
Wow, that's not small beans in League One, is it?
Still less than
Both thought the same thing at the same time.
Looks like it also looks like Newcastle have loaned Rodrigo Vilca to Doncaster, and by doing that, from what I'm reading, it means that they're not going to get the signing of Will Grigg along the line because they've made that loan deal.
Well, I'd heard Rotherham was one of the likely targets to Will Grigg.
So Rodrigo Vilca, done deal.
Rodrigo Vilca, done deal.
And I've seen another suggestion. It appears Theo Robinson's signing for Bradford. He's
okay, interesting one.
His medical's complete, so it's a case of just crossing the dotting the i's and crossing the t's. They say crossing the i's and dotting the t's. There, that's according to Jamie Rayner of BBC Leeds.
BBC Leeds. Okay, so Theo Robinson, so Port Vale to Bradford City. What do you reckon of that, Ed? Because we know he can score goals. He did it at Colchester, but do they need it?
Well, let's
do you
put
think?
it this way: Port Vale aren't bothered about leaving.
No. And do you think Derek Adams can turn him into a 30-goal striker overnight?
I mean, I'd always give his Adams a chance of doing that. I hope so.
Be interesting to see. I like him. I think he is a player that, when he applies himself, is fine. He scored something like 12 goals for Colchester last season, was it? Or season before last?
He's not young anymore, though. He's not young. You're bringing in an experienced guy who I almost think could be a backup to Cook, to be honest. I would say he's the kind of backup alternative to Andy Cook.
Well, how long's Lee Angle out for? He's got an injury, hasn't he, at the moment?
Not sure certain, but they've been using him out wide, so they have options in those areas anyway, don't they?
Yeah, they've been playing, 4-2-3-1, which is what worked well at Morecambe for him last season.
Speaking about Bradford, from what I've heard, there's a possibility Elliot Watt might be off before this window's done.
Well, they better be quick because they've only got 62 minutes. 62
they
minutes.
Haven't got long.
62 minutes to get those deals done. If you want to join in, you can come in our chat here, by the way, or you can reply or send us a comment on Twitter. That's fine. We're just sort of being a bit ad hoc as we go, keeping an eye on what's happening in the window. Right. Anybody else want to pick a transfer from today?
Yeah. Peter Chioso.
Oh, I like him very much.
That's the lad from Luton, right?
Yeah. He's a right
played at Hartlepool. He's a very good player. He was the standout right back in the National League when he was at Hartlepool. That's what triggered Luton Town to go and sign him. Obviously, Luton being in the Championship means his opportunities have been kind of, as you'd expect, kind of limited. So he went out on loan and did quite well at Bolton.
Great at Bolton. It's Northampton, a division above.
Yeah.
He was at Northampton last season, wasn't he?
How well did he do there? Because I didn't really, to be honest, see much of that. Because obviously they were struggling, weren't they?
I think his time was a bit affected. Partly by Northampton's storm and also, I think, because they transitioned between Curl and Brady, didn't they? And I think he's someone in a wing-back role that would really suit a Keith Curl style. And I think Brady went for a bit of a different approach.
He'll be a good attacking right-hand side option for MK Dons in their current guys. I mean, the thing with MK Dons is, not surprisingly, they've got a decent XG in open play, but they've got a terrible XGA from open play as well. So they're giving up quite a few good chances, and we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a defensive right wing back, is he?
No, not at all. But in that system, do you really need a defensive for a right back?
What, MK Dons? Nah, not really.
No. So in the 2020-21 season, he made 21 appearances for Northampton. And then for Bolton, part of the previous season, he made 13 appearances. So he increased his appearances, but still not a massive amount. But hopefully he'll be able to... he probably will be more of a squad player by the looks of things, but I suppose it depends on how he gets on there, doesn't it? But
I've just spotted a done deal here as well.
Done deal? For who?
Dundee Mansfield Town have confirmed the signing of defender Will Forrester on loan from Stoke City.
Will Forrester, done deal, goes to Mansfield Town.
I love the bell.
The bell is going to be in my head all night long.
It's going to be replayed.
Yeah, he's a centre back or a right back.
They were going to get the guy from Burnley, weren't they, as well? According to Peter Rourke on Twitter, I saw earlier.
Richard Narty would have been an excellent one. Big Richard Narty fan.
Is that not going ahead?
I mean, I assume
Good. It
I
wouldn't
assume the
surprise me
signing of a centre. Sorry, I assume the signing of a centre half means that the Carl is not going anywhere.
he played tonight, didn't he?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
assume. I don't know. So I do wonder sometimes where this.
How often do players
comes
play
from.
on the same day they sign to someone else?
It's true, but we don't have any centre half, so.
The only
So-
person at Oldham that I'm really concerned about is staring at me on my wall behind me. So
He's
He's not in the country, so.
I hope he's not signing for like Inter Milan or somewhere. He deserves this opportunity.
He's away on international duty, and the more concerning thing for me is that he's in a red list country, so
So he's going to have to isolate for like.
he'll have to isolate on return.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Gill's news here. There is going to be no more signings for Gillingham today, as confirmed by Steve Evans. The club have posted on the website that the deadline day capture of Charlie Kelman is going to be the only deal done today. They identified him back in July, but all they wanted really was a striker, or striker was the main priority really. So that's what they feel like they've achieved that. They've sent out a message to the fans, which just simply is not selling some star assets was vital, and our chairman has stood strong. Thank you for your support, essentially. But that's the only business from Gillingham today is the deadline day signing of Charlie Kelman on loan from QPR. There will be no more done.
Right,
How
we'll
do
see
you
you
feel then,
later,
Dave?
David.
I like the line of
pal,
holding on to assets.
Well,
I mean,
Dempsey,
don't get me wrong. Yeah, sure, we held on to Kyle Dempsey and we held on to Jack Tucker. Like, we held on to Vidane Oliver, who, there wasn't great interest in any of them. I mean, I suppose there was a couple of bids that came in from Cheltenham for Jack and Kyle, but I don't know. To me, like, yes, of course, keeping key assets is important, but when you're so low on numbers, it's all well and good bringing one player in on loan that's a striker. But I feel like I can't help but feel like we need more reinforcements, and hopefully this will be enough to get us through to January. But to be honest with you, it's been quite a disappointing window, and as much as I wouldn't like to say it, I wouldn't be surprised if between now and January we start getting more and more injuries and end up fighting for relegation, to be quite honest. It's quite disappointing. I expected, when they were talking about a couple of signings, I was expecting a couple of signings to happen, because all day and last couple of days, all of the noise out of the club has been, we're talking to championship clubs, or we're awaiting what championship clubs are doing, which seems like that is the case with Kelman. But, maybe some other potential low deals fell through. But of course, we've currently got an embargo on us as well, which means that we can't actually pay any kind of parts of the wages for any player coming in. So they have to be completely free loans, where the loaning club are paying for all of that. So yeah, it's a challenging situation. Loan? Well, no, yeah, it's because of the EFL loan. So because of the EFL loan, it puts us in
monitored
that
loan
situation
agreement, isn't it? The
monitored
loan
same
agreement.
as Oldham.
Yeah.
There's about 6 clubs, I think, in our divisions with that monitored loan agreement currently in place. I know Scunthorpe's one of them. I think Oldham's one.
Oldham, yeah.
Swindon Live mentions Johnny Williams. We didn't mention Johnny Williams. He's that's a great signing. His setup for the goal that we were talking about at the weekend. Yeah, he's a pretty good sign. And Charlie Appleyard says D3D4 new looks. Skype has gone, but why is Ed the only person wearing yellow and black? Is he Jim White?
We did debate getting the ties out, to be honest.
James won't let me wear my tie. So
we debated for all but 5 minutes, though, didn't we? It was all but 5 minutes before James was like, "No, it's not happening."
I'm not a tie person, me. I'm not.
I've seen him. Ian Everts also said there's no more signings coming in at Bolton.
He's got a good squad anyway, hasn't he? At Bolton,
yeah, he doesn't need to. They basically said, we've picked our signings, we've done our due diligence, and we're not going to panic buy. We'll strengthen January if need be.
I'll tell you who does need signings, to be honest. Shrewsbury Town.
Yeah.
They looking grim at the minute for them. It's not nice.
They're very quiet, aren't they?
They haven't signed anyone today at all, have they? By my reckoning, I don't believe they have.
No one in for them at all as it stands right now. Let's just check, because Sunderland have got this goalkeeper. It's confirmed, isn't it?
Torben Hoffman, was that his name?
There we go. Yeah, Thorben, done deal 10 minutes ago.
Torben
Hoffman comes in, so that means that they don't have Calamity Burge in goal anymore.
Calamity Bird.
Calamity Bird. You need to get that on a t-shirt.
I'm being unfair.
Calamity Bird.
He's a good shot stopper, but he does, like, he has a few clangers around him, a bit like the Iron Chicken, and it's not good at all. And he's someone I think gets a little bit of an unfair rap for it, but he obviously, there's no smoke without fire. If you've got a keeper that keeps making errors at key moments, you're gonna, for a team that wants to be promoted and wants to be in the promotion push, then you want to get someone else in. So Thorben Hoffman has signed from Bayern. Is that on loan? It must be on loan, surely.
It is a loan deal. Yeah, it's a loan deal to Sunderland from Bayern Munich. Yeah.
Any Shrews fans watching this, be interesting to get your take on what's happening at the club, because obviously really quiet. But before we go any further, let's talk Tranmere, because they're a team that I was really interested to see what they do. And there was a lot of talk from Tranmere fans about the fact that they were just going to bring in youngsters on loan. They've brought Leo Connor back from Celtic. They, as we said, brought in Nicky Maynard. Signed Stephen Walker from Middlesbrough. I think that's their trio in today to add to the squad.
Mark Duffy as well.
And
They've
Mark
been
Duffy.
very busy, making five signings on deadline day as well.
Is it 4 or 5?
I think. So hang on, let me look at my list here. So we've got.
I'm pretty sure.
So we've got the Leo
4.
Connor signing is 1. Mark Duffy is 2, Nicky Maynard is 3, and then the Stephen Walker on loan. It is 4 signings today. So
I have to say, fair play to the club though, right? You're going to go up to the deadline and you're going to leave it late, but they've got 4 players in who I think will add to the squad. None of those scream to me as just being, making up the numbers, which we, let's be honest, we do see that quite a lot, isn't it? The loan from a Premier League club who's the next big thing, but who we've never heard of. Actually, all of those players have got a bit of pedigree. Nicky Maynard could be inspired if he can stay fit. He did play well in the playoffs for Newport last season.
The less I say about him, the better.
Pulling up a certain kind of vegetable. Was it pulling up plants? Was that what
it was? It was not pulling up any plants. I think he said the day before. That was one of our directs at the time. So that the day before we played Mansfield, who went on to score 3 past us.
Yeah, he did. Was it 6-0 defeat, wasn't it, on that day?
Yeah, something like that. It wasn't the best time to say that.
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't work too well. So yeah, Sunderland, interesting to see those signings go through. Just looking at the comments here, James Wakefield. First time I've actually seen you all live. Only David sounds like he looks.
What does that mean?
We're all offended by that.
I'm not sure whether I take that as a compliment or an insult. Can you clarify what you mean?
I'm assuming he thought I sounded like Brad Pitt, but in the flesh, I'm more Terry Wogan.
I thought you said I made the bad jokes, James.
Ian Bradley says 52 minutes to go and Michael Smith is still a Miller. I assume that is how it's going to stay, surely. We don't want to see
it's possible that there might be an outgoing from Crewe as Blackpool are looking to sign Owen Dale after agreeing a fee for the player.
They cannot afford to lose Owen Dale.
So it's
possible.
I
just saw that one now as well.
Yeah, by the looks of things, it is possible that Owen Dale could be out of Crewe before the deadline is done. Fee is agreed. I think it's just player terms to be decided now.
What do we think of Crewe's business though? Because they got Cashkit in from Wickham, they got Robertson in, I think on loan from Celtic. These are players I was starting to feel a bit more confident. But if you then sell Owen Dale, you've basically got rid of another really promising youngster at a time when you probably want to try and keep as many as possible, haven't you?
It's kind of that old 2 steps forward, 1 step back, isn't it? They're making deals that are really positive deals, but then I think in that sense, that's where I'm kind of glad that Gills have held on to the players they have, because, if you want to progress forward and with Crewe at the moment, the kind of results and stuff they're getting as well, they're going to be much better off. They're going to be a much better team with Dale than they are without him, especially because it doesn't look like, from what I can see, it doesn't look like there's any rumours of anyone coming in that would then be replacing him. So no one's replacing that input unless one of the the previous signings is doing that.
It's a worrying time a little bit, isn't it, for Crew? I think we all were concerned. And yeah, just having a look, Salopcast has just put out a tweet, which I think, Ed, you've liked. The manager seems to be a control freak. He doesn't like Lewis doing his job. He doesn't seem to get modern football and doesn't understand social media.
He's on about Lewis Cox, I believe.
Lewis Cox, yeah.
I believe.
Steve Cottrell was meddling in the kit when he should have been focusing on signing players. Seems to be.
Well, they
there's a
took
lot of
ages to get their
negativity.
weight
Yeah.
out, didn't they?
That's the other way round to Oldham.
Okay, so according to Lewis Cox, Steve Cottrell on 2 players definitely coming in this morning. One decided not to come because he didn't think he'd get in the team. Maybe if he looked at tonight, he might have
He's a midfielder. He's straight in the team.
I was going to say.
He would have done. What else did Lewis say on this one? He said one of 2, but I can't see these. Can't see. Yeah, it's not looking. It's a little bit of What's the phrase you lot Northerners use? Is it piss boil on Twitter from Shrewsbury?
we love a good piss boil.
I'll tell you what they were when they saw the Chapman deal come through. The Harry Chapman deal.
I'm slightly worried that I just saw a Bradford fan tweeting "Bahamboozled." I'm sure, don't be wrong. I'm sure there's nothing in it, but it sets my heart racing.
Oh dear, yeah, that would be an absolute concern, wouldn't it? If
you know what, Chris, you're like me in the winter window when I was convinced Akins was going to Mansfield, and I was just stressing so much, just waiting for that deadline day just to shut. It was so stressful.
I'm not too stressed with crap either way.
Yeah, but you're not as bad with him.
Right. So what do we think of Barrow? A couple of signings that they've made today. Robbie Gotts. I'm a big fan of Robbie Gotts. I thought he was actually quite good in the spells that he had at Salford last season.
I think they made 2 lads from Leeds, right?
And they got Jordan Stevens.
Jordan Stevens as well from Leeds.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we think of those, Ed? Do you think that they're? I mean, personally, I think that's not bad business at all. I think Jordan Stevens has a lot to convince people of his ability, because he's one of these guys who's been talked up for a while. On a few loan spells, Swindon in particular, and Bradford last season, he hasn't impressed, has he?
Yeah, I like the Robbie Gotts one. I think that's a very good one. He was okay to Salford. I don't think Salford make their game entirely around him. He's someone who I think could be very good in forward or wide areas for sure. I'm excited about that one. A bit like George Williams, I think, in terms of the way he plays, the way he tries to play.
They already have George Williams there, don't they, as well? So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you got basically a replica of him.
A team of George Williamses.
That's not a bad way to go.
Yeah, if you got George Williams, the player who was going to the Euros with Wales, and rather than the George Williams who seems to have disappeared when he was at Grimsby last season.
He sort of went downhill after breaking his leg at against Oldham.
Who caused that?
Yeah.
The Last Brew podcaster, Jebberson to Burton. Here we go. Is that happening?
The Last Brew. Well, it's been talked about since the morning, I believe, and it's needed at the minute because there's no fit strikers.
Yeah, I mean, what's the progress? So you got Lewis Mott out until the new year.
Mott's out till the new year. Hemmings hopefully is back within the month. Aaron Amadi Holloway just isn't good enough to start. He doesn't want to start him. So at the minute, they've been playing Amari Patrick up top, who's been doing an okay job, but he's much better as a winger, as we all know. Absolutely. So to have a more natural centre forward up there would be really helpful to their season.
You've got to use Holloway in quite a specific way, really. He's an excellent hold-up play, and you can get...
He's not someone you call for the goals, is he? He's almost...
He's a hold-up player, yeah.
He's almost kind of worth bringing on when you're in the lead. You need to defend, and you just need a focal point up top.
I remember under John Sheridan a few years back, we played him up front with Curtis Main, and that was pretty entertaining, I won't lie. Under John Sheridan, yeah, it was a proper relegation scrap front too.
Well, he's kind of filled the role of what Mike Thundup was on the back end of last season, just that more target man, that real handful to deal with up top that maybe doesn't get a lot of goals, but is a real handful to deal with.
A couple of teams to talk about who did some business, I think, yesterday and have had added players today, Leighton Orient and Carlisle. Let's start with Carlisle. Lost George Tanner, very talented right back to Bristol City. Replaced him with Kelvin Mellor, who obviously was part of the Morecambe promotion team last season. I think if you're going to lose your best right back with basically no time in the window left, getting Kelvin Miller in is a pretty good signing, frankly. I know Bradford fans won't be enamoured with him, but let's be honest, anyone who played for Bradford under that particular era, none of them were good. I mean, you had Owen Doyle there, for goodness sake, and he was terrible, which just tells you what the coaching team and the whole setup at Bradford were like at the time. So I think that's a good signing. I heard they were looking to add another loan player. They were in talks with Donald Love as well, but he ended up going to Salford, which I think
deal happening at 10:30.
Salford need defensive depth, don't they? And it comes to defensive depth.
We've got a Scunthorpe deal happening at 10:30.
Yeah, they already got Henry Wood in from Hull, who is a young player. I mean, this is going to be a very young Scunthorpe team this season, isn't it?
Is it Henry Wood or is it Harry Wood?
Henry or Harry?
Because I thought it was Harry, because I thought it was Henry because I was thinking of the Gills.
It's Harry. It's Harry Wood.
There we go.
Did you smudge your whiteboard, James?
I just looked at my whiteboard, yeah. Which it should be it. It should be it. I should really put it up somewhere I can actually see it a bit more easily. But unfortunately, my office is very, very tight for space. Mostly because I have a big box of old VHSs of Oxford United videos, which I've yet to decide what to do.
VHSs, bloody hell.
VHS. Oh, come on, Chris. Look, I think I've shown you this one. Look, Oxford United VHS versus Oldham Athletic.
Oh, you've just very conveniently left that one on the top of the file, have you?
Just for today, just for you, Chris.
What was the score in that game? I think we beat you 5-0, 5-1.
That explains why that's at the top of the pile.
I think you sent me the newspaper clipping of that one.
Quite possibly, though. You actually went up that season because your plastic pitch at home made it so impossible for anyone to beat you.
Fantastic in plastic.
Fantastic in plastic, yeah, but not so good on grass. So I remember if I seen the
but that is a myth though, because we had a very good record away from home that season as well.
Yeah, of course you did. You had a good team, let's be honest. If you look at the back of the box, it's got it's the team sheet that they've used as the VHS cover, and the players. For any Oldham fans listening, right, the players were John Holworth in goal, Paul Warhurst, who went on to win the title with Blackburn, Andy Barlow, Nick Hendry, Earl Barrett, who obviously played for Aston Villa.
Your favourite player.
Yeah, I loved him. He was such a good defender. Andy Ritchie, Ian Marshall, who will be very well known to fans of Leicester City, Ricky Holden and Neil Redfern. You know, I mean, that's a good team. That's a good team. You three just too young to know any of them, probably.
I've just put the new book out about that era of Oldham Athletic that I've just arrived next on my reading list.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. They're glory years. But do you think Ed Carlisle are going to be in a good place with the replacements they've got? Obviously, overall they've got Zach Clough coming back, first appearance at the weekend in a disappointing defeat at Hartlepool. But Chris Beech, considering the challenges you face whenever you're a manager of Carlisle with budget constraints, geography, weather, he's doing a pretty good job, and I think he's got a nice squad. I mean, he's lost Aaron Hayden to Wrexham and George Tanner, two of your key players, but maybe they're a bit light at centre-back still.
I'd agree they're light at centre-back. I'm a bit worried about the results at the moment, to be honest. They seem quite underwhelming at the minute with results. I do hope that can pick up, but yeah, replacing George Tanner with Kelvin Miller is fine. It's not George Tanner level. I mean, I don't think there is a fullback at this level. There's George Tanner. That's the reason he's gone to Bristol City. Losing Hayden, though, is a real loss. In fact, you think about the centre-back partnership they had last year of Reece Bennett and Aaron Hayden. Neither of them are two there now. I think it's going to be, Morgan Theeney, maybe?
I'd say it's probably Corey Whelan with Rod McDonald.
Yeah, potentially.
Rod McDonald's done all right, actually, in the opening game.
Yeah, but Aaron Hayden had a big influence on that team.
He did. Good player. 200k, though, from Wrexham, not to be turned down. And I don't know what the fee they got for Tanner, but you can understand.
They've still got an exceptional midfield, Carlisle, without doubt.
Yeah, as long as Callum Guy doesn't get poached in the next 40 minutes. I'm going to plug my laptop in, so I do apologise to everyone listening on headphones.
Get ready to take off. Welcome to D3D4 Airlines.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'll have to work out a better way of recording long term than a laptop that's got basically a jet engine as a fan. Doesn't really help. Right. So, any other transfers that we want to talk about as we wait with bated breath for Oxford United to confirm that Hambula is joining?
Joe Bennett to Wigan, I thought was a solid centre half to bring in.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wigan have actually had a very, obviously we know they've recruited aggressively, but they've had a good window, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean they've spent a hell of a lot of money, so you'd hope so. It did. I did get a bit in trouble, but it does worry me after the problems they've had over the last few years, the amount of money they've spent. And to be fair, same with any club at this division. Ipswich Town and the likes we've already mentioned, it always just slightly unnerves me when that much money is being spent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There goes the laptop.
Oh dear.
Are we getting a sense of any clubs doing business late? Obviously, this Jefferson deal has been talked about all day, Ed. What's going on with Burton?
I don't know. It'd be really ideal. To be honest, with the whole window itself, it's been really positive. I love the fact that we were doing the business early, getting players in, giving them the chance to fully integrate over that pre-season period. It kind of, to be honest, the way things are at the moment with the state of the squad, players coming back to fitness is going to feel like new signings. Louis Moult especially, because he hasn't played a minute yet of regular season.
Well, he hasn't, has he? He was meant to be your main source of goals,
meant to be the two goal getters, and he'll end up being something like a January signing at the minute when the way he comes back to fitness. So I'm hopeful there. And yet, we look at the positive start. We've had 10 points from possible 15, and we kind of think, if we've been full strength every game, what might have happened? It's a bit of a what if at the minute. It's been encouraging.
Ian Bradley says he's not too old to remember all these great olden players. I'm glad there's someone who is sitting here with the same sort of. Well, he's got much more knowledge than me, going back a bit further than I do. But I mean, yeah, I do miss the old grounds. Going to Boundary Park, actually, Chris. I was talking to my uncle about it earlier today. The comparison with some of the modern grounds is pretty stark.
Comparison to temperatures is a big one as well.
Oh, I mean, it's warmer since they put that fourth stand up.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
It was. I mean, I was a ball boy there when they only had. Sorry, say that again.
The Joe Roll stand still out of use, or is that back in use?
No, it is in use. That's the biggest news of the transfer window, Ed. I can't believe you've missed it.
I haven't heard it. I was genuinely wondering.
They've got a. It's not a full agreement for all the facilities, but they can use the seats.
Good.
At least that's something, isn't it? So 10:30. So Scunthorpe, we're 6 minutes away from a deal.
Yeah, and I've not got to.
If that silhouette that they've put out on Twitter is anything to go by, he could have brushed his hair. Whoever this guy is.
I like to reply underneath saying, "Is it Harry Kane with a wig?"
I've got to be honest. I thought it was Borthwick Jackson at first, but then I thought, no, it can't be. He's not going back there again.
What about if we talk about Newport's business today? So they brought in 2 loan signings. So they've brought in Ollie Cooper on loan from Swansea, and Jake Kane from Liverpool, who I saw when they announced his signing. Apparently, seems to be an absolute wizard at free kicks. So
let's give a shout out to the media team as well at Newport for their.
It's been very good, hasn't it?
The Amazon Prime purchase of Ollie Cooper from
back to that Nicky Maynard sign they did with GTA. Then compare that to the Mansfield one where they announced Nicky Maynard.
Yeah,
let's never speak of that video again.
Embarrassing.
I think it's 15 signings that Newport have made under Michael Flynn this summer.
And yet, I still don't know who their front 2 is going to be from week to week. That's the difficulty, because you've got Collins. Who have they got? They've got Collins, Hilton.
Courtney Senior's going to be fit. Let me get the squad up.
Get the Newport squad up because they have got Timmy Abraham as well, who can play up front. They've got quite a few
Patrick
guys.
Hammond, Robbie Wilmot, Baker Richardson, Timmy Abraham, Lewis Collins, Jordan Greenidge, Alex Fisher, Jermaine Hilton.
Patrick Hammond's gone to Exeter, of course, on loan.
No, he has, hasn't he? Yes, sorry.
Yeah, but there you go. They've got. So I think Fisher's a good player. Brings a different dynamic to the team. Hilton's a good player. Who was the chap they signed who played really well in the cup? Not against Southampton, obviously. He was a striker. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Timmy Abraham got the goal, didn't he, against Ipswich?
He did.
Timmy Abraham's younger brother.
Let's
I think it was him. Yes.
I can find who the player is, but I think if you look at Newport, despite the last couple of results, you've got to believe they've got a strong squad for this level, haven't they?
You'd hope so.
Jordan Greenidge was the guy I'm thinking of.
Jordan Greenidge, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he played really well in the recent game I watched him. I'm pretty sure it was a cup game. I'm not sure if Baker Richardson I've ever seen play because he's always been injured. Had hip problems at Barrow, went on loan to Barnet, and I still don't think has he made his debut yet for Newport?
I don't believe he has.
I haven't seen him if he has.
I like Thinazaz though, and I completely missed that they'd signed Christopher Missalou as well as a midfield option.
Yeah, did you see his shot at the weekend?
No, what after that? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Acrobatic from about 30 yards out, and it's hit the post. I saw him post it on his Instagram story saying something like, imagine if that had gone in French. It was quite an impressive attempt for a midfielder who doesn't get many goals. I rate him though. He's the one French 3rd or 4th division player that's got on to actually play at a higher level.
Yeah, not bad. I'd like to mention Max Melbourne to Stevenage.
Yes,
I like that one.
That was a very good signing.
Which one was that?
Max Melbourne.
Yeah, he was really impressive actually. In a poor Sadler's season, he was probably one of the better players that they had, wasn't he?
Sure.
Last season, so I think that's good. And Stevenage really, I look at how well Coker's been playing at left back. They've now got a couple of good options. Not too worried about Stevenage. I think they play pretty good football on the whole. They've got a squad that's got nice depth.
I'm really keen how Bruno Andrade does for them, because I hope we get back. If we get the Lincoln version of him again, or was it Boreham Wood he was at in non-league as well?
I would take his performances at Salford with a pinch of salt, because from what I've been told from people who've played for Salford and people I know from inside the club, the way that you can sometimes be treated there, it can leave you a bit disillusioned. Just simply because, you're 1 minute you're going to be the next big thing and they're going to play you, and the next minute you're struggling to even make any appearances. So whether Bruno has got to take a lot of the responsibility himself for how he didn't play very well for Salford, or whether it's the fact that he just didn't fit their team, I don't know. But he is certainly a potentially very good player, and I think Alex Ravel will get quite a lot out of him. So Alex Jones says, this is the worst window I've ever seen. We are going down. I'm not sure which team do you support, Alex? Whack it in the comments.
Sounds like it could be a Shrewsbury fan.
I don't know if this is the Last Brew has just sent me a DM with some comments made apparently by Barnsley. Has anyone else seen this? So Barnsley said regarding the transfer window, we really need players who want to play for Barnsley, who want to be at our club. And during the process this summer of looking to strengthen our squad, we've had some really interesting situations. We reached agreements with 3 different Premier League clubs for 3 different players we felt would be ideal for us in terms of their talent. One of these players told us we need to pay him 40% more to play for Barnsley. That was a short conversation. The second one was basically told he didn't agree with our style of play, that we needed to change it if he was to come. Again, a very short conversation. And the third one was the funniest one. We had a signed transfer agreement, agreed personal terms, done the medical. The player was scheduled to do his media pieces before signing the contract, and the player just drove away. And we were like, where did he go? He just left the club, got in his car and left.
What?
Apparently that's from Barnsley. I haven't confirmed that's from Barnsley, but apparently that's...
I've heard that. I think it was Barnsley, yes.
That is quite
funny.
Quite funny. And quite indicative of modern football and why...
There we go.
We've got the done deal.
We have Scunthorpe have come in.
Oh, done deal. Who have Scunthorpe signed?
It's Hayden Hackney on loan from Middlesbrough.
Hayden Hackney. There's a football name if I've ever heard one.
It's a good
He better be a defender with a name like that.
He's on loan until January. He is
Left back.
he's
I'm gonna go left
yeah.
Is he actually left back?
He's a midfielder by the looks of
Oh.
things.
He's come out with a really original comment as well. He's delighted to be here and can't wait to get going. You never hear that.
Again, though, where's he signed from?
He's a box-to-box midfielder from Middlesbrough.
Again, how old is he?
He is
19.
19.
Oh,
19 years of age. We'll take the number 26
They-
shirt for
they
them.
can only sign either players that are willing to take it. £800 the wage cap if you've taken this monitored loan.
Well, you say that, but our one for League One is apparently reportedly $2,000 for League One teams. It's reportedly
I think
$2,000.
it's, I've been trying to figure out what the exact arrangements are, but the bottom line is that if you're taking a loan, you can't pay anything, and if you sign on a permanent, it can only be a 1-year deal. So you are reliant either on the extremes, the very young or the very old, effectively.
But the problem with Scunthorpe is they are all very young, apart from Alex Kenyon, who's been out injured, and their back three I have no problems with at all, actually.
Yeah.
I think Wigan Athletic have just signed Jason Kerr.
Ooh.
Wigan have just signed defender Jason Kerr. That happened literally less than a minute ago.
Yeah, they have.
Done deal, Belt. Jason Kerr moving to Wigan Athletic. Okay.
Do you know what? I'd honestly rather hear that Pompey bell than that bell.
Yeah, do me a favour. I grew up listening to that Pompey bell.
What about the goal music at Fleetwood?
Yeah, count your blessings, mate. Count your blessings, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's play this game.
John Football Club Westwood is the chap with the bell at Pompey. I grew up listening to that chant, and I don't know who his mate is playing the trumpet. Maybe it was him as well.
Do you know what was mad though? What I realised, even last season, he was still at the stadiums, away games.
I'm liking that comment. Bradford's club anthem.
He did what? They played that music when there was no one there.
No. The guy with the bell.
Yeah.
Pompey fan. He was still at Pompey's away games. Outside, you could hear it outside the stadium, even though there were no fans allowed in. He was still going around the country.
He must have like rather empty Saturdays, and
Did they not just play it on the tannoy?
What?
Yeah, exactly. Just ask him. Can you just record 5 minutes of you doing that? And
So, Jason Kerr is a 24-year-old defender who's joined on a 3-year contract for an undisclosed fee. He's joined from St Johnstone. He was apparently he played over 100 games for Southampton, captained his side in the Scottish Cup and Scottish League Cup double earlier this year. And he got into the Scottish Premiership Team of the Season for last year, if that means anything at all to anybody. But it seems like a not bad signing, to be fair. But
I mean, you'd probably put the Scottish Premier League. You'd probably put the Scottish Premier League. I'm probably going to upset some people here.
Well, that's a debate. Don't go down this route. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You know what? I'm going
to. Don't do it.
I've just seen that Bradford City's attendance tonight in the Stuff Cross Trophy was sub 2,000, 1,700. That is.
I mean, going from
but to get that many people for an EFL Trophy game is impressive in itself. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's still I mean, they had 20,000 nearly for
14,000 or whatever it was for their.
I think around 18,000 for the Oldham match.
Theo Robinson, have we had any more on that deal to Bradford?
Oh, let's get back on their hashtag. That was entertaining.
I haven't seen it as of yet. Callum asks, have you covered Cam Archer from Villa to Bristol Rovers potential on the of that one going through before the deadline? What do we know about Cam Archer, guys? Not a player.
I believe he was the guy who got the hat-trick against Barrow.
It's not. So, just to go back to Theo Robinson, he's not been confirmed yet, but there's pictures of him doing interviews on the pitch.
Oh, okay. So it's a done deal, let's say.
And I'm enjoying some of the responses from Bradford fans. They are not happy with this one. Well, League Two is good fun anyway. Just hurry up and disappoint me, artificial bantams.
For goodness sake.
Last week podcast said, yeah, he was Ed. So that's regarding Cam Archer scoring the hat-trick against Brown in the Cup.
Okay.
I actually turned off at half-time because I didn't really like seeing a lower league, so I get an absolute morning.
I mean, to be fair, Villa's youngsters at the minute have got a very good crop.
Well, you think of some of the players like that they've had come out just in the recent years. Who was the young chap who went to Carlisle on loan and then Coventry? O'Hare. He was a brilliant young player. I think obviously Villa have got a really good youth setup, and why not? The catchment area must be absolutely amazing for Aston Villa given the population around Birmingham.
Well, there'll be a bit of competition from other clubs, but I would have thought that'll be certainly one you want to go to for sure.
I would, not being unfair to the other clubs in the area, but if Aston Villa said, "Look, come and play for our academy," it must be pretty hard.
It depends what club you support, really, doesn't it? If you're a Birmingham City fan, you're not going to go near them. But if you're a Villa fan, yeah, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Forster to Stags. Seems odd to sign an injured player. Is he an injured? Dan Bacon asked that. Injured player Forster. Is they're signing a player who's actually got an injury. How does he pass a medical? His leg's not working.
Yeah, he's currently recovering from an ankle injury, actually, but should be back in 2 weeks.
Is it one of those where if you're aware of the injury, you just test, you check the heart's okay or whatever? Yeah, and you test everything else you can.
The thing is, but even then, I imagine they probably would have communication with Stoke's medical team for them to say, yeah, he's got this long coming back, like the deal can be done, but he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Like,
you'd trust it more for a loan than you would for someone else selling you a player, wouldn't you?
Of course, yeah. But I to be fair, like the medicals, I suppose the misconception is that they're pass-fail. They're more kind of just to get a general recommendation to the managers, aren't they? And then obviously they seems like they've been more than happy for it to go through. I suppose 2 weeks in comparison to the rest of the season, that only works out to be maybe 2, possibly 3 league games. So it's not a great deal when you look at the large scheme of things for him to be out. But to be fair, he's only there until January anyway. This is only a 6-month deal anyway. So
exactly.
James, I've got one for you.
Yeah.
We talked about Walsall in the past. They've signed George Miller on a season-long loan deal from Barnsley. Ooh. That's the striker who used to be at Bradford, at Scunthorpe. Yeah. I think he had a bit of time at Wrexham and Bury as well.
Wasn't he a Middlesbrough Academy player at some point?
I believe he was. He's been at Barnsley for 2 years or so now. And he's gone to Walsall on season.
I like that. He's a big guy, isn't he? And he'll offer them something they currently don't have at all. Is it asking a lot for him to be the main man, the number 9, when you consider...
I'd rather have him to Connor Wilkinson, to be honest. I don't like Wilkinson as a striker. I much prefer him out wide.
Well, I think
maybe I've seen him at Leyton Orient.
If you have Miller leading the line with you've got Brendan Kiernan on the left,
Brendan Kiernan,
Connor Wilkinson on the right, and then if you can get Mr. Rory Holden as your 10, my goodness me, that's an exciting prospect, isn't it?
Decent.
That's decent, yeah. That's very decent for League 2. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Someone called TD98 is a big fan of the page, boys. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Glennie says no incomings for Carlisle. We're doomed. I disagree. Come on, it's not.
I don't think it's not doomed, is it?
No, you've got a good team. You know, I think Zach Clough has been underwhelming simply because he got injured, but his pre-season was electric. Did you see some of the performances he put in? I'm sure he got a hat-trick against some mediocre opposition, but you can see his class.
Carlisle at the minute, their most informed player is Sam Fishburne, who's out on loan at Lancaster City at the minute. He's on fire in that division. I don't know if you've seen him.
I haven't seen him.
He's been banging in the goals for them, and he's on loan there till January. They might come back and use him.
James Wakefield says Scottish Premier experience and achievements still underrated in England. Helpful for those who don't. Okay, well, yeah, I agree with James. I think Scottish players in England are, in my experience, they've been a bit hit and miss. Let's be honest. You can get some right gems, but do you remember when Middlesbrough had Gordon Strachan and they signed like Boyd and people like that? They had a whole Scottish sort of team in the Championship, and it was just absolute terrible. It was a terrible season.
Well, I think about Burton's time in the Championship and in League One. They brought in Jackson Irvine, they brought in Scott Fraser, David Templeton, Liam Boyce. We've had quite a good history for getting people down there. There are some talents up there if you can find them. It's just a matter of finding them. That's the challenge.
I think, like I say, it's you're just not sure what you're getting sometimes, is it? Sometimes the skills and the players translate really well to English football. Other times they don't. It's a bit hit and miss. Jamie Lindsay was a gem for us from the SPL. TD98 said so. Okay, excellent. Yeah, like I say, I always remember Oxford signed Derek Lilly. He played for Leeds. In fact, we got. Yeah, it was a bad season to give an example, actually, from the histories of Oxford United. For us, Bradford was immense, but Scott Allen was awful. So there you go. Ian Bradley saying that, like you say, you do find some great.
I think we're about to say exactly.
After you, David. After you.
Hand on the bell.
Cheltenham have beaten the transfer deadline day to sign Morecambe's defender Sam Lavelle.
I'm so sad for Morecambe.
He is
not confirmed yet. Not confirmed yet.
It's not confirmed, but that's what Peter O'Rourke is saying. He's coming out and saying that Cheltenham have beaten the
Peter
deadline
O'Rourke saying
day.
that it's happening.
It's pretty, for when he says stuff, it pretty much is nailed on at this point.
It's usually good, isn't it? Yeah.
Sam Lavelle is a monster and a great player.
To be fair, like it's a really good deal for Cheltenham. It sucks for Morecambe. But
that's an understatement.
Of course, but Cheltenham have been looking.
It's their club captain.
I know, but Cheltenham have been looking around for. They've been looking around for a centre back, haven't they? They've been looking at Jack Tucker, who Gills just wouldn't let go. Obviously now they've I don't think we should have either. But then obviously now they've secured Lavelle, but must have been a decent fee for them to have wanted to part with him.
I thought that there was talk for a while that Wycombe were the favourites for him, who I thought would have been a great fit to them. Sam Lavelle's such a good defender. He's deserved to be in League One for a long time.
Yeah, he's been great. I know, actually, I was asked about him by someone in the backroom team at Burton in January.
Yeah, we were into him in January. Yeah, I would have loved him there for sure.
You were. I was asked my opinion on him by someone who works at Burton, and I was quite honest. And I think I don't know. I think Burton. To be honest, you can't complain at all with the Burton business they did in January, can you?
No, it was good.
It was very, very good.
It was very positive.
I'm still sitting here, anxiously refreshing the Shrewsbury Town Twitter feed. It looks like they're not getting anything done at all.
That's really bad.
It's not good at all, is it?
Really not good.
Not that I don't think Sam Cosgrove can become a really key player, because actually I think he's starting to show a little bit, but they're very thin on the ground. They don't really have a true number 10. They've got more left backs than they've got points, maybe. No, actually that's not true. They've got 3 left backs and 3 points, I think it is. So they've managed to bring that one into equilibrium, but not a happy place to be if you're a Shrewsbury fan. There's a lot of stuff going on. When your timeline is covered with pizza trophy stuff, it's trying to pick out the wood.
It's making it very it's a bit full, my Twitter feed.
They've done a great job at putting them on the same day, haven't they? It's interesting as well because Dobra actually signed in time today. Even though he signed deadline day, he signed in time for him to be able to play in the EFL Trophy game tonight. He scored a belter of a goal into the top right corner.
Who against?
They were playing. Do you know what? I actually don't know. I will have a look. Sheffield? No, this wasn't Sheffield. That was. I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Get your Google out.
Definitely not Sheffield. I can promise you that.
No, it's not. I was looking at the previous.
They were playing.
I hope so. I hope so, Ian. But I'm not sure how I'd feel about going in that competition. Ian's gone Wembley this year, Chris. # Mickey Mouse Cup.
Yeah, League Cup.
Yeah, League Cup. I'll take that. No, I would have to go because I've never seen Oldham at Wembley, but.
The Honest Brewer says Chapman a good signing for Burton. Yeah, absolutely. I think.
I'm excited about it. He was very good at Shrewsbury last season.
They didn't use a very flattering transfer deadline picture, did they?
No, it wasn't a great one. But then again,
someone said if they got
over
45's team.
Yeah, he's 23 years old apparently, same age as me.
Yeah, come on, my hairline's probably about as good as his was in that picture.
I gotta admit it. Let's not get on to a 23-year-old hairlines.
It's shaky territory there, lads.
Shaky territory.
No, but in all
I can see
seriousness-
why you don't have the light above your head in this, Chris. I have no choice. in this office.
I've shaved my head. It doesn't really make a difference at this point, James.
It adds a nice ambience having that light bounce off your head.
No, but I can go. But in all seriousness, Chapman, I'm really happy with that. I'm quite curious how it's going to be used.
Theo Robinson has left Port Vale. That's been confirmed following mutual termination of his contract, subject to EFL and FA ratification.
Bradford have now confirmed that his name is in fact Theo Robinson.
Yeah.
There's all this waiting around, isn't there, when you know the deal's already been done?
I'm not being funny. I'm in Leeds at the moment. It would be quicker for me to drive to Bradford and check.
Yeah, it probably would be, yeah. I think, look, any Bradford fans watching this, cussing and getting disappointed about the signing of Theo Robinson, I would say wait and see, because Derek Adams has a very good record of getting the best out of players that you probably wouldn't expect him to. Theo Robinson, I absolutely thought the Lee Angle deal was a stinker. I couldn't believe you'd signed him.
Ooh.
He's done really well. So let's wait and see how this one turns out.
A signing at Wigan, Curtis Tilt.
Really? Tilt?
Did they last season?
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? On loan, wasn't he?
He was on loan from Wigan. Let's get the details of it. He re-signed on loan again from Rotherham for the 2021-22 season.
Done deal.
Done deal.
Curtis Tilt, retweet that one. I like
Crew
Curtis
were
Tilt.
announcing a signing.
Crew? Do you remember when Crew built up their fan base to announce a player leaving?
Well,
Do you remember Leeds one with Don Polian?
yes. Yes, but I've just seen here, it's David Artell in his interview at the Shrewsbury game, and he's saying we're definitely bringing at least one more in. And they're using that as the cue to show there's a signing coming. So there is something coming to Crew.
Someone comes through. It better not be them saying there's definitely one more coming in and it's actually Owen Dale leaving. I've seen that before at Crew. It didn't go down well.
Newport have said, Nostar, good night.
They're out, are they? They're done. They don't need any more players. They've got. I mean, let's talk Bristol Rovers for a second, guys, because they like we talked before. They have a massive squad, and I do like the fact they've got Aaron Collins and Brett Pittman. I really like Nicholson. I think he's a wonderful player. They've got Harry Anderson in that team.
I like Paul Coots.
They've got Thomas as well on loan from Barnes. I mean, this is a team with a lot of talent. Bristol Rovers. It's just, do we trust their manager to get out of them what he needs to? I mean, I tell you what, if you put this team that they've got right now under the charge of Paul Tisdale, who, let's be honest, he didn't put up any plants, I'll say, when he was, he didn't put up any trees, did he, when he was at Bristol Rovers last season? But I don't think he had a very fair cop, really. He had no strikers. Like, he literally couldn't get any strikers in. And the fact that they didn't really improve under Joey Barton shows just how poor they were. But I thought if Paul Tisdale had a team with the talent that they've currently got, they should do well. I mean, I think Bristol Rovers will do well eventually. I just think it might mean that they have to make some changes in the dugout. I don't know.
Got a signing.
Burton have announced the signing.
Oh, it's the guy, isn't it?
It's Jefferson.
Let's have a look. Burton Albion.
They've shown the
It is
shirt being pressed. Swindon also appeared to have got one.
Swindon have got a good team.
Have they?
They've done terrific job, Swindon Town. They've still only I can only see Gilbert on their timeline at the moment.
Oh no!
Yeah, still have announced the signing of Richard Narty.
Swindon have had me there.
That's
I like that one.
Announced the signing. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, done deal. Burnley have made it official. Richard Narty.
And Richard Narty. Dylan
Bahamboul. That's a good signing.
Dylan Bahamboul has just tweeted 10 minutes.
If he goes, I'm ripping this picture off my wall.
Burn it.
What if he signs for Oxford?
Yeah, I'll rip it off my wall and put up a picture. Photoshop the one with him in an Oxford shirt on there.
I'm so surprised you haven't got a little cut out of the Oxford kit ready to just stick on in case that happens.
Well, I could just take one off here that if you can see my Oxford kit collection.
I tell you
said
what,
about
though,
that away kit, the better. That was just terrible.
I did have someone message me earlier, and they said to me, what happens if Owendale going means it opens up the way for Bahambula to go to Crewe? And I thought that was quite amusing.
Bahambula to Crewe.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it's an interesting situation to think about, isn't it?
Zayn Westbrook staying at Bristol Rovers. No offers for him. Thought Gills would be looking at him, according to Callum.
Who's that? Sorry.
So Zayn Westbrook, the ex-Coventry youngster, really good player, but on a lot of money and not really fitting with what Joe Barton wants to do with him. So he's been put on the block there. He's been put on the transfer list, but no one's come in for him. Probably because he's on money.
Honestly, it's probably the wages for us. We just can't. We can't afford, like, as it is, we were struggling to even get loan signings, let alone anything else. But because of the embargo, it makes things really difficult for us. All we can do is go for frees. We can't pay for players. So we wouldn't have gone in for him. We cannot at all pay for any players, which is quite frustrating. But I suppose that's what comes with the EFL loan, doesn't it?
Yes, and I think that's why as many clubs as possible decided to avoid taking that loan, which frankly was a good idea.
Seems like it's didn't really have a choice though at that point, like that's the uncomfortable thing, is that obviously when you're in that situation, the clubs that have had to take it are the ones that had absolutely no choice but to
the ones
take
that
the
took
loan.
it happened to be if you look at, and I do feel for some of the chairmen, because some of the chairmen who had their money and were getting their money in their businesses from hospitality industry, completely decimated by COVID. So you can feel for them. But if you're propping up a football club, which is no easy feat in itself, and you're doing it with a business that you need to be running all the time to do so, it's a nightmare. It is really a nightmare. Ian Bradley says Joe Barton has to leave gas for them to be successful. I think we've just lost David in the feed.
We have. Is he coming back? Oh, no. Well, I've got Twitter up, keeping an eye on it.
But yeah, so interesting to see how Bristol Rovers do. But in terms of the squad that they've got, there's enough talent, I'm sure, for them to do quite well. Are there any clubs that we haven't touched upon yet? Is there any clubs that we feel that we...
Cool. Should we mention
Chris
your boss?
Oldham. I was assured Oldham would sign these two players. What happened?
There was strong suggestions from reputable accounts that we would be signing some players today. I'm not sure.
Maybe not.
It's all gone a little bit quiet. I saw
Looks
one...
like Richard Narty has just signed on loan to Mansfield.
We've got that one.
Going to ding that one. That's a double ding otherwise.
Yeah, I won't double ding. No double ding.
James, do you want to give any thoughts on Ben Davis coming in from Fulham?
To be honest, not a player that I've seen a lot of. Herbie Kane, I think, that's someone who I can really get behind, because obviously his time. I remember speaking to James Coppinger about him actually when we interviewed him for the pod, and James Coppinger was saying he's a player of the world at his feet, really talented, and very enthusiastic, someone with the right attitude. So for us to get him in on loan, was it from Barnsley? I think he is.
I believe so.
I'm really pleased with that. I think Oxford.
I thought it was is it not a permanent undisclosed fee?
Who was that? Sorry,
Herbie Kane. I thought he was a loan. I might be wrong.
Ben Davis this morning, Fulham.
Yeah, we're talking Herbie Kane. Yeah,
we're talking about Herbie Kane.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were still talking about. I'm zoning out here.
Yeah. No,
we have a question from Salop Cast here. Did anyone in League One have a worse window than Salop?
As it stands, no, I don't think so. Do we think anyone had a worse window than Salop?
I think Ian's got a fair point that Doncaster could be in a bit of trouble if they don't get anyone else in.
I agree. I think we've talked about Doncaster and the fact that they've only had a really small squad and they've lacked experience, but they have got a couple of injured players to come back who could make a big difference. That's something to keep an eye on with Doncaster. But for Salop, Shrewsbury Town, we knew that the window was going to be pretty important. And for the last week or so, we've been waiting for them to announce some signings. And it comes to the last day, and it just seems to be imploding slightly. you know, and I don't want it to take the gloss off their first 3 points of the season either, but they lack depth in quite a few positions, don't they? Shrewsbury.
Richard Cawley of South London Press is reporting that Charlton are pretty confident 2 signings coming in, but
One of them
probably not. But probably not confirmed until
Rotherham
past
and
11 PM.
Hartlepool appear to be signing people as well.
Tottenham have just tweeted that Janelle Bennett has joined Crew Alexandra on loan until January.
I'm liking their announcement tweet.
19-year-old winger from Tottenham.
Let's have a look.
Carlisle.
Who's that? Crew, did you say?
That's Crew, yeah. They have just put out.
It's not on Crew's Twitter. Tottenham Hotspur have tweeted it, but Crew haven't yet announced it. But it's on
Crew have just put out a video saying, "Not too late, are we?" Eyes emoji.
Which I assume is probably linked to this, because Tottenham have just 4 minutes ago. Tottenham said, Janelle Bennett has joined League One side Crew Alexandra on loan until January. I
think that's worthy of a bell.
Worthy of a bell. Done deal.
Yeah.
I'm just going to the Tottenham Hotspur transfer page. Come on, Crew.
Yeah, Crew have announced it now. Crew have announced it.
Oh, well done, Crew. There you go. Though my Twitter's just not refreshing, so...
I mean, all eyes on Dylan Bahambula's Twitter account as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, let's just pin that guy's account.
I've put notifications on, you know.
Right.
It's the important one.
David and I will look at transfers. You two start sweating about Bahambula. Come on.
What's the betting that he's been watching this at some point this evening? He's seen how much you're sweating over this, and he's purposely...
That's true, he could be.
Just to annoy you guys.
It could actually be,
just to make you sweat.
Hi, Dylan.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, yes, bonjour. Merci beaucoup.
Oh, for goodness sake.
My French is terrible. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Not even
I've got a GCSE in French.
Yeah.
I just tweeted replying to his transfer from going to Wigan. Can't tell you how happy I am to be playing for this club again. I just can't stay away. Plus, at least this time I get to meet the fans.
Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Imagine playing for a club all last season for just the year and not ever playing in front of their supporters. It's happened to quite a few players, hasn't it?
Well, it's what happened to Kyle Dempsey last year. If he had gone, he would never have played. He potentially wouldn't have played in front of the Gillingham fans. Same with Dane Oliver, really.
It is strange, isn't it?
I wonder if Oldham is going to announce Dylan Bahambula's extended his contract at 11 or something.
Stop mentioning Bahambula.
No.
You do realise, right, that deals don't stop at 11 o'clock. They do carry on into the night.
Yeah, but only if they've started already, haven't they? So
how do we know?
Prior to 11, yeah.
Well, we've definitely got Rotherham announcing something because apparently they still use fax machines.
Hartlepool United.
I was going to say, deadline day is the only reason fax machines still get sold.
Yeah. We got a Hartlepool signing. Eddie Jones, the left-sided defender on loan from Stoke City.
Eddie Jones. Where have I heard that name before? Who's he been out on loan with? Anyone?
I know that name.
I think Eddie Jones is something not related to football.
Oh, it's the Australian rugby coach, isn't it? Yeah.
That's what it is.
Jones is a poolie. Done deal. Eddie Jones going to Hartlepool.
What's the betting that Rotherham signing that they've announced or that they're teasing is potentially that Will Grigg signing we were talking about earlier on? I wouldn't be surprised if that's the signing we might.
Well, there's a person giving a thumbs up on the tweet, and I can't tell who it is. I don't know if any.
Well, there's a second tweet they tweeted out straight after that 7 minutes ago.
Oh, we've got a signing.
No.
Oh, it is. It is him.
Is it Greg?
Portsmouth have just announced the signing of Marlon
Romeo
on loan from Millwall.
I like him.
Done deal.
But Will Grigg has gone to Rotherham United.
Yeah, he's gone to Rotherham on a season-long loan from Sunderland.
There we go.
Oh, big news. Will Grigg. Thank you for that. That's a good one to have on a...
Will Grigg's lukewarm. Your defence is slightly unnerved.
Done deal, Will Grigg. Done.
Slightly unnerved.
I think that's harsh. Like he went on loan to MK Dons and had a good return. Why he can't do that?
I know.
Have Lincoln had a bad window? I don't think so. Not really.
They had a window, just a shrug of the shoulders.
To be fair, for
So
me,
Salop
when I
Cast
saw the
comments.
team-
Salop
when I
Cast
saw
comments.
the
We
demo-
have 7 strikers and play 2. We have 3 central midfielders and play 3. Great squad balance that. How many strikers? Well, let's just retrain the strikers to multitask. I think that's the only option, isn't it?
Swansea City confirmed that Kyle Joseph has joined Cheltenham Town.
Oh, so Cheltenham should be on that one. There's some late deals going through here.
There will be. They'll keep going this the next hour or so.
MK Dons have said that they're done.
Yep. Well, they've had a great window, MK Dons, to be honest. It's a shame they've lost Russell Martin. Because the squad...
Kyle Joseph confirmed by Cheltenham.
That's an interesting topic to talk about then. So obviously Martin has gone. Where do we see them? Because essentially this whole team was built under his philosophy. So where do
Well,
where
it
do
all
we
depends
see
what
them in
Liam Manning
comparison
brings,
to what we
really,
saw
doesn't
them
it? Is he the
against
same
us?
kind of guy with the same philosophy, or is he going to be something a bit different?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, isn't it? I'd like to think they recruit someone who could fit in with those players.
Again, like Manning was not someone I was particularly familiar with. I don't know. Were you guys familiar with him at all? Really?
No, to be honest.
No.
No.
It's
Stevenage just said that they're done with now as well.
yeah. I'm just hoping that Oldham saying that you can go to bed and keep your Bahambula shirts. Don't have to burn them.
Bahambula shirts.
That's an expensive one, isn't it?
I was going to say that's expensive on the lettering.
No, you just put. Is it Moyo? What's his?
Yeah,
that's the one.
That's the one. Stick Moyo on the back.
Mystic Moyo.
Mystic Moyo, yeah, that's the one.
So let's have a look. Someone said bringing Steve Cottrell felt like a great moment, and what we thought was us moving onto bigger, better times feels now like he's been brought in like one of those guys businesses bringing to make redundancies and wind the company up. League 2, here we come.
I think that's a bit harsh on Cottrell.
Yeah. I feel for Salop. I think that it may be that it's not as doom and gloom as they think, but they certainly don't have a squad that you can take much confidence from, do they? I mean,
still very, very early in the season, though, isn't it? But
they've got this team until January now.
Yeah, they've got 3 midfielders till January.
They've been playing better in central midfield, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which is not ideal. Playing your left back protégé as a central midfielder. Ian Bradley says, by the way, James, 9th in League One feels lovely. But Rotherham, I think
with Will Grigg.
No, I think Rotherham might.
Ian doesn't like promotions, does he?
I think it's the fact that he has a promotion with the inevitable relegation that follows. That he's not.
You're all right. I just like to wind him up about that.
Have we had confirmation of the Charlton Lavelle signing at all yet?
Not an official one from Charlton yet. No,
nothing yet.
I'm sure that will come through though.
I'm sure it will. We're getting to the end of this podcast, guys. I'm afraid, as we're looking at the time of 11:05. The window has shut. I don't have a slam shut door video to put out. There you go. Chris has done it for us. The window is slam shut. Yeah. Has anyone ever signed for the same club 3 times in less than 12 months? Asked Richard Blakey.
Who's that about?
Is that Curtis Tilt, maybe? I don't know. RJ Blakey. Are you referring to anyone in particular? Right. So it's looking like most clubs have finished.
I didn't realise it was 3 times. Did he sign an extension or something?
I'm not sure there's anything left to do. Some Rotherham fans are pretty delighted that they've signed Will Grigg, which is good to see. How old is Will Grigg? 30?
I don't know, actually.
He must be getting there,
This
actually.
is when we find out he's like 26 or something silly. Let's have a look.
He is 30, yeah.
30 years old. Yeah.
Well, it's not, just as Carlisle fans are tweeting, there's been no business. Carlisle have just tweeted, I'm awake.
Yeah. Let's have a look.
There's something coming to Carlisle.
So, yeah, someone's just tweeted out the Leeds United, don't go to bed just yet. There's still work to be done.
There's a mention, actually, on one thing. There's a talk about it potentially doing, but Dion Charles still staying at Accrington.
Yeah, I just saw that one.
Him. That's good, because I've heard there was a potential move to Peterborough on the cards there. But yeah, Accrington has still got hold of him.
Oh, yeah, Bradford have said we, as you may have heard, we've got a deadline day capture over the line. I can't imagine who that might be.
Yeah, no idea. Best kept secret on Twitter.
Yeah.
Bradford fans, don't bother, is the reply.
It's a real mix of opinions towards it, isn't there? Real mix.
Would rather we didn't, don't bother. Throw him back. No. We don't want him. A fantastic picture of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah. Ipswich Town fans tweeting out, the window is closed. Only 19 managed to cram through the door. Yeah. It was a good deadline. It was a good deadline for Ipswich. It's now just about whether they can get them to play good football in a proper system, isn't it?
Yeah, they've won the signings. Now's the key to see if they can actually play football together.
We've got Chant to announce Lavelle, Theo Robinson to be announced at Bradford, and someone to be announced at Carlisle.
Bahambula 5-year deal.
Graham McGarry says arrival at Crewe. He's talking about the winger they've got on loan from Spurs. I assume Oldham have gone to bed.
We do appear to have gone to bed. I like this tweet. I'm just checking the hash OAFC now. I like this one from at OAFC Ed. Bold strategy to crack on with Hallam Hope up top on his own.
Bold strategy indeed. Right. Well, guys, I don't know how long you want to keep our feed going for, but I'm thinking...
Well, I will think there'll still be a few coming through over the time, but it's going to be quite spaced out now, I would have thought.
I imagine from now on, it's probably like we know there's a couple of deals that are on the way through, but but waiting around for them.
I'd quite like to know who this Carlisle one is, but we could be waiting ages to that.
I'm just hearing now as well that
you're on the Charlton one.
Yeah, there we go. So Charlton Athletic are working on a late deal to sign Birmingham City striker Jonathan Lecco on loan.
Get him back.
Peter Rowe again.
So no late deals for Newport, apparently.
Hartlepool have just tweeted, welcome Eddie, and I had to threes for a minute.
Yeah.
I thought about me, I'm like,
you've actually got a Hartlepool shirt behind the camera, right? You know, you've been getting ready to switch.
I love the pool. I love pool, mate. I love the pool.
The big announcement for the end of the podcast.
I'm converting.
Lewis Cox is still here, which doesn't mean anything has happened, but waiting to hear otherwise. Okay. So it does look like Salop have not got anything over the line necessarily. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you've enjoyed tuning in to our live feed. We appreciate all the people who've commented. And yeah, I think we should do this again sometime, guys.
I agree. I've enjoyed this.
Do it again in January, eh?
Yeah, indeed. We'll do the January deadline.
It's not quite as intense as the time I spent.
Should we make a prediction ahead of that? How many are Ipswich going to sign the January window?
19. They're going to do a swap deal for all 19.
They're going to go Salford style and just change the whole squad halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
We'll get end of the January window, so that'll keep us nice and busy.
I thought Burton had made another signing then.
No, that's just us milking the fact we're going international.
You're really milking this.
Listen, like Yeah.
We're not listening to it.
Right, guys.
No, it's late. I need to go to bed.
I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap this up and say thank you to everyone, and thank you to our patrons who made it possible to bring this all together. Massive thank you to you guys. Big thank you to our partners, The Big Step, who we're very much backing and behind for the coming season for all the work they do in tackling the saturation of gambling adverts in football. But a huge thank you to my 3 co-hosts who have been with me tonight to talk O-League football and make it such a joy to run D3D4 football. Cheers, chaps. Right, well, we bid you good night. I'm sure there'll be some deals that we will discuss probably on our podcast on Sunday. I'll put this out. This will be available. The audio should be available on our channel, such as it is, with a bit of ad hoc analysis that we put through as we were trying to keep up with everything that's going on.
Don't know what you mean. Don't know what you mean, James.
But we'll be back on Sunday for a normal podcast looking at all the action that takes place at the weekend. Bamboo poster very much staying right where it is for now. And until then, everyone, we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.